Hello, I'm Scott duPont with another episode of Finance Your Movie, sharing tips and strategies to help you fund your independent feature, documentary, short film, or web series. Our mission is to empower you to get your money to tell your story. Identifying the market for your project. If you build it, they will come. Only if you're living in a field of dreams. The reality is, you can make the greatest movie in the world, but if you don't market it and promote it, you probably won't have a large audience. And if you don't clearly identify and really dig deep and understand everything about your audience and who the potential audience is for your film before you get started, you could be in real trouble. So, how does marketing pertain to getting financing for your movie or your project? I think everything. It might be one of my secrets. Although I've had a lot of good luck, including some good timing, I always think about marketing first. In fact, if I don't see a crystal clear market with a clearly identified audience, I don't want to have anything to do with the project. Let me give you two specific examples of some projects I did that'll help you kind of understand my whole thought process and how these projects I was able to successfully raise the money for both of them. The first was a feature length video. This was back in, I think it was back in 1999, some long time ago, 20 plus years ago. It was my very first project, actually. And not only was I a frustrated actor at the time, but I was kind of frustrated. I was a fairly young single guy, and I wasn't really smooth with the ladies. I didn't have really great luck in the dating world. Part of it, I was just really obsessed with getting my career launched, and then some other things happened in my life. Um, but I was always interested in what made some guys just seem to have this magic chemistry and attraction to girls, and why people were more successful than dating. So I was looking through this catalog that was mailed to my house years ago. I believe the title of it was called Interesting Products You Never Knew Existed. And in that, all kinds of like Halloween things and knickknacks and goofy, fun things. But they had a pretty big video section in that catalog. It was about um, 5 to 6 pages of special interest videos. And in there, they had, it was either two or three feature length videos, 60 to 90 minutes, about how to date women or the keys to dating women, secrets to dating women. And I ordered one of them. I ended up ordering all of them. There were two or three. And I was absolutely horrified how bad they were. Um, there was basically a guy, a male host, pontificating about this and kind of talking most of the time. And then it was just awful. So, anyway, I'm thinking to myself, and I keep getting this catalog for a year or two. And I think to myself, well, if they're still in this catalog year after year, and I later actually called the company, the Johnson Smith company, to find out if they were selling pretty well. And they confirmed, yeah, they couldn't give out the exact numbers, but yeah, they're still selling pretty well. I was like, wow, I can probably do a better job and sell these things. So, to make a long story short, a really good friend of mine was had just started a production company at the time, and he was looking to he had graduated from film school a few years ago, but he was kind of stuck in this rut of doing commercials and the short corporate training videos and industrials, not quite as glamorous as making a feature film. So I approached him and said, "Look, if I can find an investor, if I put up all the cash, would you be willing to, in your spare time around your commercial projects, help me produce this with your production company?" He did all the cameras, the lights, the studio. the editing equipment, and we made a deal, and he said yes. So when I started pitching investors, I didn't have to go very far. In fact, I got my very first investor from a lady who was willing to put up money based on the fact that I identified who the audience was. I showed proof of concept that there were already two or three other dating videos that were really bad out there. And the other thing I said in my pitch said, not only do I identify the audience, but we're going to do it much, much better. In fact, most of the guys I talked to, and I did surveys, I literally talked to friends and some guys I didn't even know. So what would you like to see in a dating video? Well, the last thing that most single guys wanted to see in a dating video was a bunch of guys talking. So we came up with the title Women on Men. I knew a lot of very, very attractive actresses and models in the Central Florida area. So we put all of them on the cover, and that's how we did it. The whole video, which ran 75 minutes long, featured all these beautiful women. Plus, I would much rather, I try to put myself in the audience shoes, and I truly was trying to learn more tips on how to, be better in the dating world. I'd rather learn from women than hear some guy going on and on. So that was that. We were going to hike up the top of Runyon Canyon in Hollywood, and it was at the end of a day. He was living in my apartment complex, and said, "Hey, let's go out and get some fresh air." And when we came down the mountain, we saw this Tesla Roadster, which was the very, very first car. I think they only made a few thousand of them. It was before they got into the S sedan. And there really weren't any electric cars around. There were a few made in the 1990s, but this was the first new generation of electric cars. And I had seen one in Popular Mechanics and also Car and Driver magazine. It talked about this Tesla that was coming, but I had never actually seen one in real life. And what was interesting, we were just hanging out for 1 or 2 minutes, just kind of walking around it, looking at it. And within 5 minutes, I swear to God, because it's a pretty busy place at the end of the day, Runyon Canyon, there were about 20 or 30 people. I didn't know any of them. My partner didn't know any of them. Um, uh, just looking at this Tesla. And the owner, and we were kind of like just kind of BSing. And then the owner walks up, and for about 20 minutes after that, he was answering question after question after question, like, this is really all electric? You mean it doesn't use any gasoline at all? It's not a hybrid? Where do you plug it in? How many miles does it go? There's no filters, there's no maintenance on this thing. So, anyway, it's fascinating. So, like I said, my buddy was living in my apartment complex, and we were just talking one day. I said, you know what? Somebody should make a documentary about all these electric cars that we had been reading about that were going to come out soon. And then we did a little research, and we found out that there were all these different organizations, and they were growing pretty rapidly, thousands and thousands of people um, in Plug-in America, which was a 501, still is a 501c6 not-for-profit. Could be a 501c3. Anyway, it's a nonprofit organization association, and the Electric Drive Association, or no, excuse me, the Electric Auto Association, which I'm a member of now. Um, Electric Drive Transportation Association, which is a big industry association out of DC. So we said, you know what? There could be a real potential audience in this documentary, and the people that were initially in those associations and organizations were die-hard electric car fans. I mean, they really wanted to see a shift away from fossil fuels. So when we put together, we said, hey, we need to do a movie about this. And that was really a big part of our pitch, is we had clearly identified a need and who our initial audience was going to be for that documentary. So, a big part of all my pitches is not just about the script or the concept, the project itself, but as I mentioned, it's about the audience that I've already clearly identified with stats and facts, and then how the project I'm producing will fill the void. And any potential investor with the slightest interest will truly appreciate the fact that you did that homework up front, and you'll be much more likely to get a check. In fact, marketing is so important. That's why, in my opinion anyway, that's why 20 plus years ago, I decided to call my first production company Nemours Marketing instead of Nemours Productions. Tune in next week, or for more info, visit financeyourmovie.com. Thank you for listening, and remember, if you have a story to tell the world, never give up on your dream. Copyright Nemours Marketing.